It's been 4 years since Michael Myers vanished without a trace.
Hello?
I was certain that I saw him watching me.
You pretend like you moved on, but you're actually just obsessed with death.
What are you gonna do when Michael comes back for you? Because he is coming.
But this time, something feels different. He's more dangerous.
Welcome back. Oh shit, let me get a little further here. Welcome back, everyone, to the Scary Sci-Fi Sluts podcast. This is a very special episode. We are live in the studio today at Brandon's house in Sandy, Oregon.
Yeah.
And
go ahead and dox me already, Kenny.
if anybody wants to come by, what's your address again?
It is.
Yeah, we're your hosts. I'm Kai, or Kenny, whatever you want to call me.
Yeah, I'm Brandon, as you guys should know me by now.
This is not vodka, unfortunately.
It is Everclear.
Yeah.
This is also a special episode because it's the first time in a while that we have not had a special guest. So it's just going to be classic, just the two of us. We're going to be breaking down the end of a trilogy, Halloween Ends.
More than just a trilogy. So this is technically, based off of this storyline, a quadrilogy because the first one is included. A bunch of bullshit anyways, doesn't matter. But this is a pretty, I feel like it's a pretty special episode for multiple reasons. I, as the fans know, I've been a huge fan of Halloween, the series, for a long time. I actually just got done marathoning all the movies, had my girlfriend watch all of them. She hasn't seen any of them before. So I'm surprised she made her way through every single one, even the piece of shit ones that you haven't seen yet. The one with Busta Rhymes and Tyra Banks. There's some really interesting movies out there.
So you're telling me your girlfriend is watching for the first time ever and we couldn't get one episode done in our rewatch?
Yeah.
Till next year, fans.
Next year.
We'll try again.
Yeah, we had started our retrospective review
In
in reverse series last year, and we got through Halloween 2018. Then we did Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, Halloween 1, and then so we actually did a live studio recording of Halloween Kills. It was our live reaction video that has never been released because the quality was not great. So if eventually we get on Patreon and people want to see that, it is there. We'll just have to, I'll get that edited and processed by fan request, but it's there in the backlogs if someone's interested. But we're here to talk about Halloween Ends today. Of course, this is the last David Gordon Green, last Jamie Lee Curtis Halloween movie. So it is kind of a big deal. 44 years in the making. But of course, Jamie Lee Curtis has played Laurie Strode for 44 years now. She's been in numerous movies, and this is her final outing as the character. And as the movie ends, it's very final for Michael Myers as well. However, of course, if you're a fan of slasher movies and this series specifically, you'll know in 5-10 years they'll reboot it and there'll be another one.
Well, we'll get into the trivia in a minute. Is it the final for Michael? Or did he put up a stunt double and he snuck out the back?
You haven't even seen H2O yet, so you don't even know.
Oh.
You haven't seen it, right?
No. Does he get reborn through magic?
Okay, so this is spoiler alert for a movie that came out in 1998, I believe. In H2O, which shares a lot of similarities with this Laurie Strode timeline. Mm-hmm. Pretty much they say it's a sequel to Halloween 2. So 1 and 2 are in the timeline.
Right.
Because Halloween, the series, has 8 different timelines. So in H2O, it happens 20 years after the original. It's 1998. And it's pretty much the same Laurie. She moved to California. She's a dean of some private high school. Huh. Her son goes to the high school. She has a kid, but no one knows who she is. She lies about who she is. Nobody knows. And then she's become this kind of hyper vigilant, traumatized person. Not as militarized as the 2018 Laurie Strode.
Yet.
No, but she still did some training, and she's she's like an alcoholic, like functioning alcoholic, and it's actually a pretty good movie. Not as good as I remember it being, but it's there's a lot of interesting behind the scenes stuff with it. So it came out, I think, right after Scream did. It has one of the same writers as Scream. Ooh. And so they try to incorporate a lot of like the satire and like it's like a horror movie that you can tell is trying to pay respect to other horror movies. It's like, oh, hey, we are, you know, aware of all these other things going on in the horror genre at the time. So it's pretty good. But how it ends is Laurie goes and decapitates Michael Myers. So it was supposed to be like a final thing to the Michael Myers thing. But then, of course, a couple years later, the studios and Malek Akkad was like, we're just going to keep rolling out Michael Myers movies. And so that's where Halloween Resurrection comes in 2002. And they retcon it by saying, oh, actually, Michael Myers killed an EMT, stole his uniform, and then replaced the bodies. He like put his mask on the EMT. So Laurie Strode decapitated this helpless person. And it's a bunch of fucking bullshit. It's so stupid.
Part of the trivia basically says that Malek Akkad has a clause prohibiting Michael Myers from ever dying. So, retcon or not, they basically have to keep going with these films.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about how that affects, how that, you know, ties into this movie.
Yeah, and well, basically they're saying they'll have to do a different continuity timeline due to his ambiguous death.
It's not ambiguous.
No. So we'll get into that deeper later.
Yeah, that's a full spoiler. It's not ambiguous.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we're talking about Halloween Ends, released October 14th. This is everything just off our head. So normally when we do this, we have a lot of preparation. I do a lot of research, type up a plot summary. But since this just came out, 2 days ago, we just wanted to get in and talk about it. So
we never go on IMDb, ever.
Never. No, everything's up here. Yeah, so released October 14th, 2022. This is the third and final David Gordon Green trilogy, quadrilogy movie, and I don't know box office numbers right now. I know it's not doing fantastic. Off of Wikipedia, we're showing, as of right now, 58.4 million, which isn't awful. I mean, the budget is 20 to 30 million, so it's already going to make profit regardless. Yeah. But I remember the 2018 Halloween, when it released, it made like...
That thing killed.
$300 million or something. It made a lot of money on like a $10 million, $5 million budget.
Yeah, I mean, we're still riding the kind of tail end of COVID numbers. Like, not as many people go out as much, so... And this is on Peacock, I can say. So Kai, he went to the theaters. I watched on Peacock. Yeah. So there's a lot of that going on. It's really hard to justify numbers at this point. Right.
And when I went to the theaters too, like, so I live in Portland, Oregon. I went to Laurelhurst Theater, which is one of the small independent movie theaters, and the theater wasn't full. Like, I was pretty surprised. Friday night, it wasn't packed. When I went to the 2018 one, I went to Baghdad, and the entire place was sold out.
Oh, wow.
The entire room. So it was interesting to see that, and I do think Peacock has a lot to do with it. Yeah. I think word of mouth has a lot to do with it. This, I guess we may as well get into the ratings right here. Do you have those pulled up?
Yeah. So basically, IMDb. We'll start with
Rotten Tomatoes.
So it got a 41% with a 57% audience score, which is pretty better-ish.
That's really low for both.
And IMDb is shown 5.1, so they're very similar. We're sitting at about 50%.
So it's 5.1 for audience, and then 45 for Metacritic, with 38 critics.
Oh, wow.
So that's, I gotta say, that's pretty low for the series. I don't know comparison. Let's look at Halloween Resurrections IMDb. Oh, that's a 19 Metacritic. So it's rated better than some of those. It's like pretty standard for the Halloween movies, I'd say.
Obviously, Halloween, I think 2018 got the best rating, and that's I think that's more of a nostalgia score that kind of cheated its way through that.
Yeah, if you guys remember with our review that we did a while ago for 2018, like, I don't remember what you scored it, but I think I gave it like a 6 out of 10. Like, I definitely like it less every time I watch it.
The story's not great, and especially having to watch those podcasters.
See, that was the part I did like. I felt like everyone else, like, the dialogue was really stupid for a lot of characters besides Laurie. And, like, the dad saying, like, I got peanut butter on my penis. Like, that's stupid Danny McBride-isms that don't belong in this movie, you know?
Oh, my God. He directed it, didn't he?
No, he was one of the writers.
Okay. And has he continued writing?
Yeah. So we can get into some of the cast and crew here. So there was 4 different writers on this one.
Well, that's always fun.
Yeah, and I think you can tell. So what happened with this trilogy is David Gordon Green and Danny McBride were the constant writers, but then for each movie they brought in different people, and you can tell they have different people because there are some things that just are so inconsistent throughout these 3 movies. So in this one, the other writers, Paul Brad Logan and Chris Bernier. And I mean, Chris Bernier, he hasn't really written much. Like, there's a couple other things that are small. Brad Logan, looks like there's 2 other movies he's done. Like, these guys, I don't know why they were pulled into this. But yeah, how do you want to do this? You want to give our like first impressions, or you just want to jump in?
Yeah, let's do first impressions first.
Okay. So what are your thoughts? You finished the movie. What were you thinking?
I thought that it was very creative, and kind of going off of what I've seen online is they definitely took big swings, and they took an opportunity to try something new, and I think it helped. It worked. I've always been kind of an anti-fan of and I haven't seen them all, but like the Halloween storyline in itself it just feels very similar the whole time. Like, you know, Michael stalks Laurie or whoever he's stalking the whole time, and it's kind of just cut and dry, similar feeling the whole time. And I felt like this, introducing new characters and, you know, trying a new story in the third of the trilogy is I think a really cool concept, and it helped it stay fresh, and I was really focused on it. So yeah.
Okay. And so what's really interesting is if you guys remember when we were doing a Halloween retrospective, Brandon hasn't seen like any of the Halloween movies, so he's fresh to everything. But for someone like me who's seen them all a dozen or so times, I recognized pretty immediately what they were doing differently with this movie. So from the beginning, you can tell this is David Gordon Green was trying to do what Halloween 3 did, and even so far as and I'll when I upload this, I'll like share the image, but I saw someone on Reddit had like compared the opening title credits, the font of the original Halloween versus 2018. It's the same exact font. Wow. Halloween 2, Halloween Kills, same exact font. Yeah. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and this one, same exact font, same exact color. So Halloween 3, do you know anything about that one? I've like mentioned it a couple times throughout the series, but it's basically, it has nothing to do with Michael Myers. It's a completely different story. They were planning for it to be an anthology series, so each Halloween movie every year would be a different story. But the movie did terrible at the box office, terrible with critics, because people are like, where the fuck is Michael Myers? That's why we came to watch this Halloween movie.
A Halloween movie.
And over the past maybe like 15, 20 years or so, that movie's gotten better, like critics wise. It's like a cult classic now. And
that's funny.
So this is my Halloween Season of the Witch tattoo. Got one pretty new, but I got that because that's one of my favorites.
Huh. So is this the one where they get into like the witchcraft, or?
Yes, yeah, they're like druids and shit. It's so hokey, but it's so fun. The score is fantastic. It's like super like dark synth done by John Carpenter and I think Alan Howarth. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Okay. So eventually, when we do finish up the series, we'll get to that one. Yeah. But so they're definitely trying to do something similar, which I really appreciate. I know there's a lot of negative reviews about this movie right now saying like, why is Michael Myers barely in this? Like, this is why we came to see this movie. And part of that is due to the marketing. They really sold this movie as Laurie versus Michael, the final showdown. Right. Every single trailer you see, you like don't see anything about Corey, who's the main character. Yeah. And it's all Michael versus Laurie. So you have to blame the marketing. But I also feel like they knew that's what they wanted to do with marketing, because if they barely showed Michael in the trailers, people would be like, what's going on? Like, is this a Halloween movie? So I think it was a really interesting and brave approach to the marketing with selling this as a Michael versus Laurie movie when really he's a side character. Oh, yeah. He's barely in this movie. And
it's a misstep, and I think it's not to their own fault. I think originally they probably had to do the Laurie trilogy for money's sake. That's where they make the most money, is from that original storyline. Versus if they were to try to set up what they were doing in this movie from the first reintroduction movie and then do that over 3, I think we could have had something really cool.
Yeah.
But they couldn't have sold it that way.
So that's something that I do once we kind of get into the meat and bones. That's my biggest problem with this trilogy as a whole. Mm-hmm. I like the overall story. I like where they went. I just think it's so jumbled, and there's bits of this movie that should have been in the first one, and vice versa. Like, some of the stuff makes no sense continuity-wise with how, if these are supposed to be like real established characters, some of these like behaviors just do not make sense based on the timeline. But if it was repositioned, it would make way more sense. Okay. But I do also understand, like, from the financial perspective, they had to sell Halloween 2018 a certain way to try to give it like this Force Awakens type of feel. Like, we're bringing the people back and...
Yeah. But then it's like, we should have traded Halloween Kills for Halloween 2018, because they were doing more of that in Halloween Kills.
With the legacy characters. Yeah, that's what I'm saying is I like everything overall. If everything was laid out, all the story beats for the entire trilogy was laid out on a map, I just think they need to have someone better go and reposition the pieces. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I think that didn't happen, maybe David Gordon Green and Danny McBride had this great story that they wanted to tell, but then the additional writers came in and they didn't help. I don't know how they didn't help realize, hey, this would fit better here. Why don't we do it this way?
Or the studio had the handcuffs on pretty tight.
I don't know. I feel like they had pretty free reign with this one. Like, Malek Akkad, all he cares about is making Halloween movies. He's like, put Michael Myers in a movie, I make money, I'm fat and happy. Boom.
So he's just like the owner, or like the rights holder?
he has the rights. And then Blumhouse is one of the main producers of the movie, and Blumhouse, I think they gave him pretty like open, like, we're just gonna give you the money, you do what you need to with the movie, make us money. All right, so let's get in. You want to get into actors and trivia?
Yeah. So.
Once again, directed by David Gordon Green, of course, and we mentioned the writers. Same cinematographer as the previous 2 movies, which I think is interesting. Has the same look, same feel.
Cast list is mostly similar as far as like the big 3. Jamie Lee Curtis coming back as Laurie, of course. They didn't recast her, unfortunately. Andy Matichak is Allison, and James Jude Courtney, he plays the Shape. I think Will Patton is returning.
Yeah, it's Hawkins.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have Rohan Campbell as Corey. I have not seen this dude ever.
I haven't seen him in anything.
I guess he's pretty popular in that new show. What is it called? It might be...
He's in the show.
I want to call it The Boys, but it's not The Boys. The Hardy Boys.
Hardy Boys?
Almost right.
That's what he's from? And the Snowpiercer TV show. It looks like Virgin River. All these, like, cheesy, low-budget TV shows.
Big on TikTok.
Yeah, that's all. Pretty much all we need.
And then side characters.
Yeah, but what's interesting is this new character, Corey Cunningham. He is the main character of this movie. It starts off with him, and it doesn't end with him, but he's the main character, and that's another thing where I feel like timeline-wise. His character should have been introduced from the first one, from 2018. If they were going to tell this entire story with him, even have him as a background character where we hear something happening in the background, like maybe during 2018 when all this stuff is going on, we see a news article or something about, teenager Corey Cunningham manslaughter for this werewolf kid or something, something like that. But I feel like it was a very big misstep to just bring him into this movie and make everything centered around him, even though we've never heard of him before. I really like his character. I like everything they did with his character. But I just, again, mixing the pieces up. So now we're going to get into some trivia, usually where we take things, and then we'll break down the plot, get into the plot summary of the movie, and then give our thoughts throughout. What do we got?
So, nothing really too crazy. We already got into the biggest piece of trivia in that... Homeboy has the rights, and he basically is keeping Michael alive.
Yeah, he's going to make Halloween movies till he dies. Yeah. He will never stop producing Halloween movies. I've watched some interviews with Jamie Lee Curtis and David Gordon Green, and have you seen Christine, the Stephen King story? I think it's a Stephen King short story that John Carpenter made into the movie in the 80s. Really, really good movie. Super underrated. It's about... this guy, Arnie Cunningham, exact same last name as Corey Cunningham, and you'll know why. this guy, he's like a super nerd, has no friends, like super impersonal. He finds this beat up like piece of shit car and he buys it from this guy, and it turns out the car is like possessed. It has this evil spirit in it. Stephen King, you know. But it's this kind of like reverse coming of age story where you see this kid fall in love with this car, and it like fixes itself, makes itself beautiful, and then starts like leeching its possession onto Arnie. Yeah. And so you see him slowly start to get like infected by this evil spirit in the car, and he becomes like an asshole and kills people. And for those of you who have seen Christine, when you sit down and watch Halloween Ends, you're gonna be like, this is a remake of Christine.
Oh wow.
This is exactly what David Gordon Green was trying to do. He remade Christine using Halloween as like the husk, the carrier.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Kind of in the same lines of like with Joker, how Todd Phillips, he took the Joker name and then put it into like a Martin Scorsese like dark, messed up, fucked up drama.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. Yeah, I really like Christine, but I think I'm still kind of processing how I feel about this movie as a whole, because I recognized immediately in so many bits throughout the movie, I'm like, this is a shot pure homage to Christine. But he's also made references to liking 80s movies. David Gordon Green has in like Stephen King's type stories, and I think you can pick up on that a lot. It feels very Stephen King. With the high school bullies, with this kid getting picked on, and then he becomes the predator, the prey becomes the predator, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot of crazy trivia. It's mostly a lot of stupid crap. It's like, this thing from Halloween 3 influenced this thing in this car. So
a lot of Halloween 3 stuff is bound to come up.
Yeah.
Have you seen Nightmare on Elm Street 2? That's also, I saw a lot of similarities. That one, pretty much, I think Freddy's gone, but then somehow he possesses this kid.
Oh gosh.
He starts to take over the kid's body, and he like slowly starts to become Freddy. And so really similar type of story. And then of course similarities to Halloween 3. Similarities to Halloween 3, going as far as the font they chose, the color scheme for the title, and just that this is a completely different story. Very bold steps, I think.
Okay, yeah. Well, why don't we go ahead and get into the
plot summary here.
As best as possible. We're going to be kind of probably jumping around at this point. So at this point, full spoilers.
Yep, spoiler alert.
Go ahead and watch the movie if you haven't seen it yet. We're going to get into it.
All right. And help me. So I'm just going off Wikipedia, like I said, and normally I'll have this all typed up and create our own summary. But if there's something you remember, pop in. So the movie starts on Halloween night of 2019, and we're introduced to the main character, Corey Cunningham, who I think he's a high schooler at the time. He gets hired to babysit this kid, Jeremy, for this rich couple. And right before the parents leave to go to this Halloween party, they tell Corey, hey, just so you know, our kid's a little fucked up. He gets a little weird on Halloween, does some weird stuff. Not a big deal. Go to bed at 8:30. We're good. And instantly, like, just the camera position when she's saying this, they're like looking in a mirror, and which mirrors have been kind of a theme in the series from the past 2 movies.
Yeah, and I think at some point in here, what I really liked was it's showing it through the kid's view, much like when Michael is wearing the mask in the original Halloween, if I'm correct.
Did it?
Aren't we seeing it from his view at some point?
You're thinking of later. That's not here. That was Corey. They're doing that with Corey. I don't think that happened in the beginning.
I thought it was a German, because he was wearing a mask in the beginning.
I think you're thinking of later when Corey pulls the knife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he has the mask on at that point. But yeah, so then the parents leave. Jeremy and Corey are hanging out for a bit, and then suddenly the kid disappears and starts playing this prank on Corey, and ends up locking him in the attic. And so Corey gets pissed. He's like, hey, banging on the door, let me out. And the kid's being a little shit, and I don't remember what he was like taunting him, basically.
He was saying Michael's gonna come kill you.
Oh yeah, Michael Myers is gonna come he's gonna get you. It's
very eerie and crazy.
And the way it's shot, you're thinking like, oh, is Michael Myers in the house? Like, is this kid
in the attic?
Is he tag teaming with this little fucking stupid ass kid tag teaming with Michael Myers? Yeah. But so Corey's banging on the door. Eventually, he kicks the door, and this is one of the most brutal things I've seen in a while. And
The fact that they showed most of it too.
Yeah, and this happens in the first 10 minutes of the movie. If you are not cool with child violence, I would not watch this movie because it opens up with this kid. So Corey kicks the door open, the door handle smacks the kid in the face, and he falls off the banister of the mezzanine area down like 3 stories, and you literally watch him like just crush his body like. And of course his parents walk in at that moment, and so I really like this cold opening because the music kicks in at this point, the score, the classic Halloween score, revamped for 2022. The parents are crying, and you see Corey, and he's just like, oh fuck, what did I do? And we all know it was an accident. We all know the audience recognizes he didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Really good opening.
A reoccurring theme too of like accidents that shouldn't have gone further than they did, and the person responsible should be able to like explain their way out of it, but like,
which to me feels very Stephen King.
Yeah.
It makes me think of like Stand By Me. You know, just a lot of similar Stephen King themes.
Yeah. It's insane how far this kid flies. Like, he should have probably fell down, maybe had a bloody nose or something, but because this is the supernatural, I'm sure.
No, if you fell from that high, you're dead.
Well, I'm just thinking
busted.
of his kick force to be able to like be enough to like send him flying.
Yeah. So in the movie, that the sound design is really good. Like the thud of when the door hits. Like my theater was silent when it happened. And it was silent, and then as soon as we see the kid falling, you can hear everybody have this communal gasp, like, "Oh shit, they did that!" And I think it's really brave. It's a really good way to kick off the movie. You have no idea what the fuck's gonna happen at this point. Like, what is this movie about? What's going on? Who's this guy?
Did you have any trouble remembering like what year we left off with Halloween and what year we like jumped to?
No, I mean, Laurie says it pretty quickly. She's like, it's been 4 years, my boogeyman's gone, and that kind of thing.
Right.
So after that, we time jump to the present time, 2022, which is 4 years after Halloween Kills. So if y'all remember what happened in Halloween Kills, Michael ends up killing Laurie's daughter, killing the whole mob of the town, and then he vanishes. And so we see Haddonfield's kind of just been a mess, and people are like committing suicide, people are dying. It's just like super dark, like
it's basically the Purge.
Yeah. And then it's funny in like the news articles and stuff, and there's this radio host, he's like, oh, is Michael Myers responsible for killing all these people? Is he back? Is he gone? What's going on? No one has seen Michael for 4 years. He's disappeared.
He's being a good citizen. He's laying low.
So I did my part. I'm done. I'm
helps,
gonna collect my unemployment.
He feeds soup to the homeless on the weekends. He's done his time. I think he's reformed.
Yeah, so at this point, Michael Myers hasn't been seen for forever. Laurie Strode has... This is one thing that bothered me. So she's now, if you guys remember in 2018, Laurie Strode was this like hermit person who just became super militarized and was obsessed with this idea of killing Michael and defending herself. Had like barbed wire fences, everything, security system, trained her daughter Karen to be as militarized as she was. Mm-hmm. And then in this one, she's repressed all that. Like she's like tried to put all that behind her and move forward, and now she's like writing a memoir about her experience and how she escaped the boogeyman, and she's trying to be like a good grandmother. She's living with Allison, her granddaughter, and you see her with like almost like a glimpse of like hope and like, hey, maybe he's gone forever. And to me, it makes no fucking sense. This is the thing that bugs me. She would not be this way if her daughter was killed by Michael Myers. If she was so possessed with the idea of hunting Michael and killing Michael for 40 years, suddenly Michael returns, kills like 40 people, kills her daughter. She would not just be like, all right, I'm going to go to therapy and I'm going to move on now.
And he's not even in like a psych ward anymore. He's anywhere he wants to be. So I feel like she would be on like high risk. Like
this is where I think where the puzzle pieces are so fucked up, so jumbled that it makes no logical sense. They should have swapped this Laurie, the like moved on, trying to be happy, with 2018 Laurie.
Yep, and then the tragedy happens, and then she trains.
Exactly. Then she becomes militarized. This part is the biggest thing that bugs me about this movie is it makes no sense. This would not happen in real life.
Yeah.
A character who just lost their daughter, who was almost killed. Like, it would not happen this way. But
yeah. I feel like I did like, though, that they made the change because it kind of helped allow her to try something new or kind of get back to her roots of being silly and like a fun Jamie Lee Curtis. I was feeling a lot of Freaky Friday. Like, she was doing like these animated like craziness.
Yeah, she was trying to be a good grandma and like
fun.
try to be happy again. But it should have happened in 2018.
Exactly.
We should have seen it in 2018.
Yeah.
And because there's one thing I really like that we see in this movie is how the people who have been affected by Michael Myers or just by traumatic incidences are picked on, are like pointed out by citizens in Haddonfield. Like, we see it happen to Corey repeatedly. He, you know, because of him accidentally killing this kid, everywhere he goes, people like badmouth him and they're like calling him a child murderer, and it's really sad. Like, I really felt for his character. I was like, we clearly saw it as an accident, but of course, you hear something on the news, you hear, oh, my neighbor, he just killed the next door kid's son. Like, you're gonna jump to conclusions.
Yeah.
You're not gonna. You weren't there. All you know is a kid died because of another person. I feel like that's a realistic thing. Like, people, especially in this type of small town, they would definitely do this. They would jump on and like really make this person's life suck. And
so, yeah, and with the time jump, when we're kind of going through the plot, when we first jump through the time, we see that he's now working at like this mechanic shop that I think his dad owns within the junkyard. We see that he's late. He's, you know, clearly fuck up kind of, but
which is callback to Christine. So in Christine, Arnie Cunningham, he gets a job at a mechanic shop.
Oh, wow.
So he can fix up Christine. So it's a remake of Christine.
Yeah, and then his dad gives him a motorcycle, which is pretty cool. And then it's kind of like we're seeing a shift of like confidence throughout the movie. Like, since then, like he's slowly been repairing himself or getting like his confidence back, and so he gets like this new motorcycle, and then.
But does that happen after he meets Michael or before?
Way before.
Okay.
Yeah, so he does that, and then at some point he's going to get like chocolate milk or some bullshit, and that's when he first gets picked on by these kids, the Stand By Me kids. And I really love this scene coming up because he gets the milk. I think he like squeezes the bottle like hard enough to crush it, which is crazy. Yeah. But then Laurie like pulls out a pocket knife and she's like, "So you want to slice?"
Oh yeah. So
and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
The
So
hell?
this is a part where, and this is really interesting. I like that they did it this way to where Laurie knew who he was.
Yeah.
But they don't reveal that until later on. Like, the way they're introduced to each other, like, you could think, oh, maybe she's just trying to help someone out. But I could tell, like, just from like Jamie Lee Curtis's acting, her body language, I could tell we're supposed to know. Like, we can pick up on the fact that she knows exactly who he is.
Yeah.
And I really like that she recognized that, oh, hey, this guy has been through trauma like I have. She doesn't jump to the conclusion, oh, he's a child killer. At first, she's like, I just think he's gone through stuff. I've gone through stuff. So why don't you meet my granddaughter who's also gone through stuff? So she like is like the hitch, and she sets up Corey and Allison. And how do you feel about their romance, their coupling?
Could have been better. I think they fucked up as a whole though with Allison. Just the conflict there of like her starting to not trust her grandma, and then having to like go out and be sympathetic with this guy. I think there was just too much going on, and they didn't click well.
Okay.
I do think that she did a good job of like reaching out and really putting herself out there and like trying. Like, she was the more aggressive one with like seeking out Corey, which was really cool.
Yeah. So they
it was just interesting, I'd say.
So I mean, how do you feel about the movie basically being a romance? Like, most of this movie focuses around Allison and Corey having this interesting dynamic relationship where they're like, we're both two fucked up people. Let's be fucked up together and get the hell out of Haddonfield. That's like basically the core of the movie. Yeah. How do you feel about it? This last Halloween movie being like a love story.
I think it was fresh. I mean, yeah I think I liked it. Yeah.
And that's what David Gordon Green, he's talked about on interviews about these three movies. He's like, the first one, I just wanted to, pay respect to the fans and the story and the characters. The second one is like, we're just having fun. We're just having a good time. This is where Michael gets to do his thing. And the third one, he's like, I wanted to make this as a romance story. Yeah. And
But
I think it's
that's
really
where
interesting.
I think we go back to it being better if we played it off over 3 movies.
Yeah.
'Cause
It
we're
feels
moving
introduced.
Too fast.
Yeah. So that's one thing that does bug me about the Corey Allison relationship is like there are parts where it seems like they just met, but it seems like they've been dating for like months.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's poor editing. Maybe there's a lot of stuff on the cutting room floor.
Probably.
But due to the editing, it feels to us as an audience like, hey, they've been hanging out for 2 days. Why are they like in love with each other, like obsessed with each other?
Yeah.
And in reality, they should have introduced like more time gaps. But so, yeah, so Corey and Allison start hanging out. They're both traumatized and fucked up from what's happened to them.
Yeah, he gets his hand stitched up by this shitty ass doctor who's total fuckboy.
Real doctors, you know. It's,
Are they all that smug? Jesus.
yeah. And then shortly after, the same bullies that were fucking with Corey, they find him again, and
So he's on his way home, and he's like, I'm feeling good. I got a new girlfriend. I'm about to go trade in this stupid ass bike.
yeah, and then these guys come and fuck with him and end up tossing him off the bridge. And after falling off the bridge, Michael drags him. So
Yeah.
Michael's been
saves
hiding in the sewers. He's been doing some utility work for the city, for Haddonfield for a while, for 4 years, hiding in the sewers, eating rats and stuff.
I mean, is he eating people though? Because
Yes, he's definitely eating people.
so he's dragging him in there to like eat him or like.
Yeah. So he ends up dragging Corey into the sewers, and when Corey wakes up, he tries to escape. Then there's this really good shot, really good moment of Michael grabbing Corey by the throat, and they just like exchange glances.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's at this point where there's, so in the series, they haven't really discussed thoroughly if there's something supernatural about Michael. There's something supernatural about
Yeah,
Michael.
I think this really confirms it.
Yeah.
It wasn't alright.
They Laurie's character.
He pretty much does the penance stare from
Yeah.
Ghost Rider.
Exactly. In Halloween Kills, there is a line where Laurie says like, "Oh, the more he kills, the more he transcends." And I think that we're supposed to take that as, okay, they're identifying Michael supernatural. I think that was shoddily done. If you want us to believe that he's supernatural and not just a man, you need to make it more clear, because there's so many back and forth in these 3 movies where it's like, is he just a man? Is he supernatural? But clearly by what happens at the end of Kills, he's supernatural. So him and Corey exchange this glance, and I think at this point is where there's this like transference of evil, where kind of like Christine with the car and Arnie, as soon as Arnie starts fixing the car, there's like this connection where they are transferring evil.
Which is a big mistake on his end, because he's releasing a little bit too much of his power. He kind of
Yeah.
a little bit too much juice.
Yeah, but not enough.
Yeah, no.
How do you feel about the dynamic of Corey and Michael, their quote unquote relationship? Because it's very interesting.
It felt very brotherly.
Yeah.
Later,
Actually,
they
that's a good way to
wrestle.
put it. Yeah.
So I thought it was fine. I mean, you know, we can sit here and say all day that they should have built up to it. And,
Yeah.
done it more, but I think they played that off really well. Of like, especially Michael being a side character, he wasn't in it too much. Like the times that we're there together, it's just enough to get a little bit of mentorship, and he goes on his own.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. So first of course, Corey's terrified. He's like, oh my god, it's Michael Myers. And then I do really like in the script, they don't just flat out say it that evil has passed over to Corey.
Yeah.
We just start to see him behave a little differently. Just with little things, like there's an altercation that him and Allison are at a diner and then there's a police officer harassing them, and
directly after the scene where he gets choked, he stabs the hobo to death.
So he
that's his
accidentally
first kill.
kills. He does his first kill. Then you can tell he's like shocked. He's never done it before. He's still himself at this point, but it's starting to shift. And then there's little things throughout that kind of just increase that percentage of the like evil transference over and over. But I think brotherly is the best way to describe the relationship, because they do like Corey. There's a scene where Corey, he wants Michael Myers' mask, so he starts doing killings, and he's like, he literally goes to the sewers and like starts wrestling and fighting Michael, and he's like, I need something from you. And I really like that he knows that he got something from Michael. It's like he got an STD from Michael. He's like, I need the other STDs. Give me those.
I do much prefer this over some other cheesy crap of like, if we would have seen the two of them like making a mask for Corey, or,
like a montage.
Yeah, he's like,
dun,
we're gonna make
dun,
this.
dun, dun.
Yeah. So yeah, this is still a little bit cheesy, but it was. I think it fit in it. I do like the filming aspect of it, how they kept it very out far, so we didn't close up on them.
Yeah.
It was just kind of a background. He got the mask. We're done. We're out.
And then of course there's I think it's just one scene, maybe there's two, where they like tag team together, where Corey goes to hunt down a nurse, and it was really cool to see because Corey, being a new killer, he's never actually like intentionally killed someone at this point. He goes and he tries to kill this nurse, and he kills the doctor, and then when he's trying to kill the nurse, he like slips up. He's like, she gets away, she gets the phone, is about to call 911, so he's about to like, it's over for him. But then Michael, he's like, all right, little bro, I got you. Yeah. And he comes in and kills her, and I really, really like that scene. Like, I loved seeing them work together. It was like...
How well did you see the background shot of him stabbing the doctor in the theater? Because for me on the screen...
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's a really dark scene. But if you look closely enough, like beyond the nurse as she's like walking out, you can see him in the back, and he's just like stabbing.
Wait, before they fully show it?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
You can like see him moving around in the background. So,
oh, okay. I didn't know that. So
yeah.
One positive of having this on Peacock now is we get to go back and like look for these things.
Yeah, and
that's
it's
really
just
cool.
So creepy when they do finally reveal it. He's like, not only is he stabbing the guy, but he has like a bag over his head too. Right? Yeah,
I think so.
He's like choking him and he's stabbing him. This dude got it pretty good.
Yeah. And okay, let's see where we're at in the plot. So at this point, Laurie she sees this look in Corey's eye after he's got this evil transference from Michael, and she's like, I recognize this look. This is the same look I saw when I saw Michael Myers for the first time. Yeah. And I really like this. I really like that she first started trying to support this guy. Like, oh, he's been through stuff. I've been through stuff. But then when she sees that she just has this feeling of like, okay, something's different. Like, this is not him anymore. Yeah. And so we see a lot of this like kind of back and forth cat and mouse thing of Laurie starting to like, she's like warning Allison like, oh, I know I set you guys up, but I don't think you guys should be together. Like, there's something about him. I think he's evil. I think he's a killer. And she plays this almost like Loomis role, Dr. Loomis, where he's like, he's pure evil. I shot him 6 times.
Yeah, and she goes around a little bit too. I love the recurring theme that the parents of Jeremy, they both just hang out at this bar, so they haven't moved on or done anything. But she goes and asks them like what she thinks about Corey.
And she talks to the dad.
Yeah, and it shows us this flashback. I guess it was kind of a blink and you miss it, but there was at one point when he's like walking his bike. I think a car slows down to like look at him.
Yeah, so the dad's saying like, oh, I always believed Corey was an accident. Like, I thought it, I could tell he wasn't a killer. And then he says, there's the other day I drove by him and I was going to go say hi or something. And then he gave me this look. And I was like, he says like, he was not the same person.
Yeah,
that
like
Corey,
he was dead inside.
Yeah, the Corey that was the babysitter is not there anymore. Yeah. And I like that. I think it's a little too heavy on the exposition. Like, we could have put that together, but that's fine.
And I think it's because they didn't show us enough in the original scene because we're jumping around. So you could have just swapped it, really. Like, he sees him later that week and done that whole thing. But yeah, so a lot of that. One thing I wanted to talk about, though, was the bullies. And this is kind of a back to, like, having a little bit of disbelief in these movies. But, like, one of my notes was, can you imagine being Corey's size and getting beat up by these high schoolers?
Yeah.
I would have beat the shit out of all 4 of these kids.
It was a mistake. I don't know why they should have been college kids. Like, they should have all been college kids.
It could have been his class.
Or he should have been a high schooler.
That might be a little bit too much. Because then you have this high school Michael Myers running around. That's a little bit too corny.
Yeah, that's true.
Just make all the kids college students.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little unbelievable that they were picking on. Like, I get it. Like, this is a small town, and everyone knows everyone. Like, everyone knows that what he did, and I like the idea behind this. But that's where I think it's also very Stephen King-like, where it's like, oh, it's high school. It's just always like younger people doing shit. Yeah. So then moving on in the story, Corey starts killing people, and we
But
see
it's
this.
basically like a kill and then a date, a kill and then a date.
Yeah, so it's like every single time he kills, he like gets erect or something.
Oh,
so
for sure.
him and Allison get together, and it's yeah. There's this one really. I sent it to Lane, but let me show you really quick.
Is it when they sleep together?
No, wait, no. It's, oh god, and I'll upload this when I edit this into. But so someone posted this on Reddit.
Oh god.
So I don't know how well you guys can see it, but it's Corey on his motorcycle with Michael Myers riding in the background. It says,
Jesus.
"Take my breath away." And it's really what it's like. Like after he kills, he just like becomes so like manly and powerful. And,
Yeah.
And Allison is just eating it up. She's like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
this is fucking hot. Like I'm loving this. This guy's fucked up like me, and he's suddenly really cool. Which also very, very like Christine. This is exactly what happens in Christine. He gets a girl after he becomes cool and hard and edgy. Yeah, so then there's this great scene where Corey does kill all these high schoolers that have been picking on him in the junkyard.
I think we should probably go back a little bit though. So
What do you mean?
before this, we have the date where they go to the DJ studio and he jumps off the roof like a crazy person.
Mm-hmm.
And then
He shoots right up like Michael does.
I think, don't they have sex before he kills the high schoolers?
See, I don't remember.
Okay, so they hook up at some point and they go home, and this is one of my favorite scenes because it felt very classic. Basically, I think it's after he kills someone because he feels bad about something, and they go back to Allison's house, and she's leading him upstairs, and Laurie's
outside
looking
sees
through the
him.
window,
Mhm.
and then Michael is over in the trees looking at her.
Yeah,
So it's like this classic feeling of like two stalkers, like
yeah,
he's watching over her, she's watching over them.
yeah,
She's
yeah.
a homie though, because she's letting it all happen, and she's like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do 2 hours.
But you got 6 minutes. But yeah, so Laurie is, at this point in the movie, there's this antagonism between Laurie and Corey.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've already confronted each other. She's like, stay the fuck away from my granddaughter. I don't know what's happened to you, but something Michael has infested his evil into you. She knows what's going on, and he's like, no, you're not gonna take Allison away from me. And this is where I also feel like it feels like the relationship should have been like 6 months down the road or a year down the road.
Yeah.
They're just too obsessed with each other, and let's see what happens after that. So he kills all the kids at the junkyard.
So let's talk about the kills at the junkyard though, because those are some good kills.
There's some decent ones. So Corey ends up killing 4 of the high schoolers.
So he kills one immediately. He like stalks up behind them. He kills the kid in the car with his like drumstick or something.
Oh yeah, drumstick through the eye, which is fine. It's not super imaginative. It's
So
whatever.
then the 2 dumb girls are running away, and
He runs over
locked.
one in the gate.
Yeah.
Dude,
One got
she
over.
got it. She got it bad.
Got fucked.
Yeah. She's stuck in this gate in this fence, just like covered with
Terrifying.
barbed wire, watching her other friends die.
Yeah. So then he kills the other chick while
With the
she's
wrench.
stuck. Yeah. And then homeboy comes out with his dad with a rifle.
Yeah.
And this is so shitty and dumb of the dad. He basically is like with Corey, and then he stands up at the last minute as the other kid is shooting and gets shot.
Yeah, so at this point, Corey, he took I don't know if he hadn't been wearing the Michael Myers mask yet or he took it off, but we can see him standing in the background holding the mask. It's a really good shot. Mm-hmm. And Corey's dad is there at the junkyard, and he stands up at the same time that one of the high schoolers tries to shoot Corey, and so he gets shot in the head and dies. And then
right after this? Well,
how does he kill the last high schooler? I don't remember.
I don't know if he runs out of bullets or he does something crazy to him.
Oh, does he squeeze his eyes out? Is that what? I don't even remember.
Maybe Michael comes up. I don't know.
It wasn't that memorable the way he kills the last guy, but then he curb stomps the girl in the fence. And I feel like every Halloween timeline has to have a curb stomp, like every single one.
And then I think shortly after this, he kills his mom.
Oh yeah, then he goes and he kills his mom, which I don't think we really need to get into that. We've just seen how shitty of a relationship he has with his mom.
I was
She's
waiting for her to die in like the
super.
first 10
Oh
minutes.
yeah, well, I knew she was dead.
Yeah.
She's super possessive and really gross, and there's this weird Oedipus complex where they like kiss on the lips. and-
Yeah.
She probably touched him when he was young. Yeah.
So we kill all the kids.
Then I think now we kind of get to the point where Allison and Corey have been talking about running away from Haddonfield for a while. And so I think this is the night where they're actually going to leave. Of course, it happens on Halloween night.
Yeah, because we do a jump. I think at some point, like, maybe we're in the month of October, but then there's like a clear, like, on-screen jump to the 31st.
I think everything takes place over a couple of days. It's like 2 days or something. But now it's the 31st, and then Corey's like, hey, your grandma's trying to kill me. Like, she really has it out for me. We got to go. Like, I want to leave tonight. Mm-hmm. And so Allison, she goes home and starts packing. And she has this confrontation with Laurie. Basically, she's calling Laurie out on her shit. She's like, hey, you've pretended like you've moved on from everything that's happened. Like, you're not this militarized, depressed and anxious person anymore. You act like it. You're putting on a show, but that's not true. Underneath, you are still this fucked up person that won't let this go. And I like this scene. I feel like this was Allison's like standout moment to like give this monologue.
Well, clearly, because it drove Laurie to suicide immediately.
Yeah. So, but it didn't though. It didn't. Yeah. So Allison packs her bags and leaves. She slams the door in Laurie's face, and they have this rift. And she's on her way to go meet Corey. And instead, Corey comes to look for Laurie to kill Laurie, and Laurie's in her office, and she's giving us, the audience, an impression that she's going to commit suicide. Which, at the moment, I thought it was genuine.
I thought it was about to happen.
Yeah,
like,
it was
gonna blow her brains
like
out?
it was. You felt so bad for her, like the way she's been treated this whole movie. You feel really bad for her.
She's been defeated.
Yeah.
And tell me, I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, were you able to predict this whole thing happening? Because I think
the last sequence.
No, kind of like right where we're at. I basically predicted that it would be him that shows up. I knew it wasn't gonna be Michael because he hasn't been in this whole fucking movie.
Yeah.
But I knew he was gonna show up. They would fight. She would kill him, and then Michael would get the mask back, and then there would be another fight.
I didn't know exactly how it's gonna go. I definitely thought Corey was gonna make it. Spoiler, he doesn't. I thought he was gonna survive and be like the next shape out there.
Which would have been kind of smarter if they wanted to set something else up, but I
they'll find a way.
Yeah.
They'll find a way.
Oh god.
Michael just twisted his neck back into position.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Laurie's she calls the police, says, "Hey, I'd like to report a suicide," and then she holds a gun up to her neck and acts like she's gonna kill herself. And at that moment, Corey, dressed as Michael Myers now with the mask, busts in and she shoots him, knocks him down the stairs, and she's like, "You really think I was gonna kill myself, you fucking idiot?" And this scene shocked me. Like, she's confronting him, like, "Oh, does she say something like, 'I'm not gonna kill you,' or like she like puts the gun away, like, or it's out of bullets,
something to that effect.
And then he goes like, 'Oh, if I can't have Allison, no one can,' and he kills himself,
he
or stabs himself in the neck.
Which should be a kill.
I was shocked though when that happened. I was like, I did not expect that. That was insane.
But then this is again the second of these annoying kind of mistakes where like then Allison basically comes.
She walks in.
And she's like, "You really stabbed him?" Like,
yeah.
No, you should be able to see clearly he has the mask.
Yeah, but I could understand though how like after you just had this blowout about this person where Laurie was like, he's evil, like stay away from him. She comes back and sees him dead, and her she was holding the knife too. She like pulled the knife out, right?
Yeah.
Like I bought this. Like I was really surprised by what happened. I bought the interaction between Allison and Laurie.
But I think she's on her side because I think at some point, as she's like going away, maybe she talks to like a sheriff or she's...
Yeah, so what happens later is, so Allison, she storms off. She's leaving. She's like, "I can't believe you did that. I'm gone. Fuck you." Laurie's just sitting there. She's in the house, and then all of a sudden she hears a sound. And turns out Michael's come out to play.
Yeah.
And then Michael and Laurie have this interaction. They start fighting, and it's really, really cool scene. Like everything we've seen in the trailers plus more. Really good fight scene. I'd say they're on pretty even ground because Michael's pretty like weakened at this point. He's transferred some of his powers to Corey.
Yeah.
He's old and he's been beaten and cut and everything. And Allison's on her way out of town, and then she gets a call from Sheriff Hawkins, and he's like, "Hey, I just got a call from Laurie saying there's a suicide. Where is she?"
Yeah.
So Allison runs back to the house. She comes in at the last minute, seeing Laurie had this badass thing and like beating the shit out of Michael. She's smart this time around and like pins him down with his she knives his hand into the table, both hands, starts like just fucking decimating him, like destroying him.
This is where it gets a little bit crazy too, because first she stabs him in the heart, and then she cuts his throat.
Yeah, slices his throat. He's pinned down like Jesus at this point.
She cuts his like wrist artery.
Yeah, and then Allison comes in and she sees what's happening, and then she actually saves Laurie in the last moment.
Right, because he still has enough strength
to choke Laurie out, and she's like, "Do it, kill me," or something.
Which I actually thought they were going to go forward with that too.
Yeah.
What a good ending to kill both of them.
I knew they weren't going to do it. Like, this movie trilogy, it's all been about trauma and recovery from trauma and how to process trauma. And I knew they weren't going to kill her because it would defeat the message. Like, the point is to be able to move past your demons and move forward. Even though I recognize that's what the message they were trying to send, it was done really shoddily because of the positioning of the story. It all comes back down to that. Just reposition the story. It would have been better. But I knew they weren't going to kill Laurie. I knew she was going to get a happy-ish ending. So then, they slice Michael's wrist. There's blood everywhere. And then this part cracks me the fuck up. This last sequence. There's basically a funeral procession for Michael Myers. Allison's like, oh, he's not dead enough.
So the mob comes after this fight.
Everyone, it's a motorcade when the president comes to town, and there's like, a line of like 100 cars following the president's like car.
Yeah.
Everyone in the town shows up, and they're like, oh, we gotta watch Michael Myers be finally killed.
Including the black sheriff that we totally
has done nothing.
We
for
set
all
him
movies.
up.
Sheriff Barker, he has a name, Sheriff Barker. He wears a cowboy hat. He does nothing. In this entire movie. Yeah, I thought he was gonna come back with the National Guard. He's gonna fight Michael like anything. He was gonna pull a Busta Rhymes and karate chop Michael Myers. Nothing. He gives the go ahead. And so my buddy that I went and saw this with, Micah, he was like, I like how the only like black character in the movie gave the okay for the lynching at the end by the mob. It's like, that's true.
It's okay, we can do it this one time.
Yeah, it's this one time. That's it. So it's just so funny. They literally strap Michael down to Allison's car like a Christmas tree. Jeez. They strap him down. They drive to the junkyard where there's this, we've heavily foreshadowed this metal scrapper. Yeah. They've showed it full frame multiple times throughout the movie. I knew that's where Michael was going to go just from the first time we saw it. So the entire town shows up to this junkyard and they watch Laurie lift the body into the scrapper and she kicks him in. And we see... very finally, Michael Myers is not coming back. Yeah.
This is where I was sending my last Hail Mary prayer that she was going to jump in with him, or maybe they would.
The way it was positioned, it looked like she was going to get into. I was like, what's going on here?
And how do you feel about the dummy or the doll or whatever crap that they used?
Oh,
it looked awful.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly didn't like the meat grinder ending to Michael. I thought they should have just cut his head off.
Yeah, that could be good.
It would have been a good callback to Halloween H2O when she axes the guy's head off, although this time it would be Michael.
Or I feel like in the era of spin-offs and combos, this is where we need to bring Michael and drown him in Crystal Lake.
And then somehow Freddy appears in the background too, or he's like in his dreams.
Yeah. It was all a dream.
I did really think when Freddy vs. Jason came out, I was like, when's Michael coming in? When's my boy? But I think it's a rights issue. They just never did it. Fucking stupid.
It's awful.
And then, so that's basically wraps up the story. It ends with a happy ending. Laurie, we have a narration by Laurie finishing her memoir, and then her and Frank, they have kind of a happy exchange of like, it leaves it ambiguous, like, oh, maybe they'll run away together. They'll finally leave Haddonfield and go, or they'll die in a senior center together. And I don't know. Alzheimer's and stuff.
What do you think moving forward? What's your predictions? What are we doing for either sequels or soft reboots?
I think it's going to be a complete reboot 5-10 years from now. Maybe 5 years from now. They're just going to do a completely new story. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I liked the original idea with the anthology aspect of Halloween where they plan for every year it'd be a different story.
Yeah, if they did, right?
Somehow there'd be weird little Easter eggs and ties. So in Halloween 3... you see the kids are watching Halloween, the original Halloween on TV. That's the only Michael Myers you see in the movie.
Wow.
I like that. I like that kind of Easter eggy type stuff. But yeah, as a huge fan of this series, I'm excited to see where it goes. We know that this story's over. There's no more Laurie Strode. No more Michael Myers.
Basically, you have to either wait for Jamie Lee Curtis to die at this point, or you cannot bring her back again.
She said she's not coming back, although money may say otherwise.
God. She's in her 70s, right?
She may be 95 and like, I'll do it one more time.
So the stunt double who was performing as Michael, he accidentally squeezed her neck a little too hard. Jamie Lee Curtis is dead.
Yep, sorry guys. No, she's I like her a lot. You can tell how much she loves this character. Every time she's in an interview talking about this movie and how much input she's gotten, she like starts crying because like this character means so much to her. It literally created her entire career.
Yeah.
And I think she was executive producer on these movies. David Gordon Green would like come to her with ideas and like, hey, help me figure out how would Laurie act in this situation, that kind of thing. And she just has so much love for the character, and I really do appreciate her for that. So whatever comes next, I don't think it's going to be Laurie Strode related. I think it's going to be
for crossovers. I think that's the era that we're in.
Fingers crossed. I mean, Texas Chainsaw is a doozy right now. Friday the 13th has been in development hell for forever.
Friday the 13th, they keep making these weird ass sequels that no one cares
No,
about.
there hasn't been one since 2008.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the one with Jared Padalecki, Sam Winchester.
Nice.
There hasn't been one since then because it's been in development hell. I think it's a rights thing, like people are losing the rights or something. It's always a rights battle.
Do people not want to make money at this point? Like, what's the
No, that's the thing. People want to make money, so everyone's trying to get in on it.
Oh.
But I'd like to see it.
Okay.
All right. Anything else you want to say about the movie as a whole before we get into scoring and such?
Let's kind of get into our favorites as far as.
Oh, okay. So favorite kill, worst kill.
Then also one thing I wanted to touch on just as far as the movie is Corey Cunningham, whatever his real name is. I thought they did an excellent job of making this guy look huge and like.
Yeah, there are a couple angles, camera angles, and shots.
It because I looked it up as I was watching the movie. I was like, how fucking tall is this guy? He's like 5'7", 5'5".
Yeah,
he's really short, but they make him look almost 6 foot. Like he's probably wearing boots too.
Yeah.
He's got a little bit of muscle and like the uniform that they put him in. They made him like. He was very close to being like the shape when he was wearing the mask, and I thought they did an excellent job there.
I agree.
Props there. Gosh,
favorite kill.
My immediate one was Jeremy, obviously.
Yes, right after I watched, or while I was watching the movie, I think Brandon texted me and he was like, "Fuck Jeremy, like best kill."
I was a little bit worried though because I didn't think about trailers, and I was like, "Shit, did I just spoil this for you?"
Oh yeah, no, I had just finished watching that scene.
Oh my god!
So it was good timing.
I'm trying to think of any other kill that.
For me, it was the DJ guy.
Oh my gosh, we didn't even talk about the DJ.
Well, he's not even like important to the story. Like I feel like he got too much screen time, but I liked his death.
Yeah, he was basically just egging on the whole town.
Yeah.
But it was pretty gruesome. He cuts his tongue off and like leaves it on the recorder. He could have lived other than like the brain trauma and like.
Yeah, no, he's done. So Corey bashes his head. Yeah, that's true. Corey bashes this guy's face into the record player, and then he goes and cuts off his tongue because he's been trash talking and like stirring up. He's a mud stirrer throughout the movie. Yeah. So I like that.
Yeah, so that was a good kill.
I can't think of
none of them were really memorable.
That's my problem with this movie is like there's a decent amount of kills. It's nothing like Halloween Kills, but none of them really stood out. They're all just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna stab you. Hey, I'll stab your throat. Like
I think for classic sakes, my favorite would be it's gotta be the nurse, right? Where Michael
stabbed onto the wall.
Yeah, and he leaves her there hanging.
That's but if we've seen that, if you're a fan of the franchise, we've seen that in every other movie. That's the thing. Like I get the callback. The only thing I like that was done differently is how terrifying we see Michael as in that moment. Like the way he like picks her up by the throat, and like the camera clearly shows the size difference between the two, and it was the way it was shot was really well done in a way that we haven't seen yet that made it more terrifying. But at the same time, it's like do something more creative. We've seen this before, you know.
I mean, they got all of their creative kills out in Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
So, worst kill. Gosh.
Who was the
Bully number 4 that we don't know?
Yeah, I honestly don't know how he died.
Homeless man.
There was a person that literally was just like stabbed. Who was it?
Was it the cop?
Yeah.
How did he die?
Yeah. Okay. So
He got
the
killed
cop.
in the forest
So
by-
no. In the sewers, Corey was grabbed. This is their first tag team. Corey like grabbed the cop from behind, and then Michael is stabbing him over and over. And, like I thought that was pretty boring. I like the tag team aspect, but like do something cooler than just stabbing him.
Yeah. So basically, any one of those, the mundane ones that we just kind of glossed over.
Okay, so then let's see. Best kill, worst kill. Any other? Should we? So I want to do out of the trilogy. Where do we think this one fits? And then as the series, where do you think this one fits? Should we do our final score first, like how we rate the movie before doing that?
Yeah,
okay.
and then we'll rank the series.
So what would you rate Halloween Ends?
I really wish I could pull up the rating for the other movies too, but my immediate reaction after finishing the movie was, I think, an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I love this one. Like I said, it's a refreshing new story.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of it we could pick on, but I think just taking that chance to introduce Corey really helped me enjoy the movie. So, yeah.
Okay, 8 out of 10.
Yeah. Probably 0 out of 10 for comedy's sake. Horror-wise...
It's not scary.
No.
Not at all.
Like you said, it's a rom-com almost. Without the com. It's a romance.
it's just a romance.
But yeah, so overall, like 8 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, this one's really hard for me to rate. Like with Halloween Kills, I fucking love that movie. That's like a 10 out of 10 for me.
I think so.
I loved it from the first moment I watched it. This one, it's so different. Like, I think if I were to look at this movie on its own outside of the Halloween franchise, I think it'd be a really good movie.
Okay.
Like 9 out of 10 good. I just feel like,
as far as trilogy sakes though, like
with trying to wrap up this Laurie and Michael story, with introducing this new character of Corey, like they're just trying to do too much. And so to me it feels like the Star Wars sequels. Like there's no clear vision across the 3 movies. David Gordon Green, he'll probably defend to the day he dies that he'll say, oh yeah, we had an idea of what story we wanted to do. I don't think you did.
No.
I think especially like COVID kind of fucked stuff up and delays and stuff. Like I feel like maybe they should have compressed these 3 movies into 2 and it would have been a better story, and just have someone else. Like, how did no one in the writing room think it doesn't really make sense that Laurie would be this way after this happened?
Yeah.
Like things just, the story that chronologically just doesn't mesh, you know? But I do like it as a standalone thing. I really like the Corey character. He's very sympathetic, and you watch his descent into evil. I liked Allison's character. I think a lot of her responses were pretty realistic. Like someone who's been through trauma, like she's not going to have positive behaviors. Like she's going to make some dumb decisions.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I also I love Halloween 3. I love the anthology style story. I love that they did something different. I really, really appreciate the risk they took, and they knew it was a risk. Like if you watch interviews with David Gordon Green, he's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know how fans are going to feel about it because we're taking some big leaps here, taking big steps. And I really appreciate that. I enjoy the risk that they took, and they knew that this was not going to be a Michael Myers movie. I just feel like marketing wise, it should have been different. Like they shouldn't market it as a Michael Myers versus Laurie movie because that's what people are going to expect. And I know people get upset over that. I personally don't. I enjoy when I go in with expectations and everything's subverted. Like everything's not what I expect. So in the grand scheme of all the Halloween movies, I'd rank this pretty high, probably like a 7 or 8, right around there.
Yeah,
and then as a standalone movie, probably like 8 to 9, right around there. I did really enjoy it. It doesn't have the stupid dialogue from Halloween 2018. My biggest gripe with that movie is
so fucking slow.
The dialogue is so stupid, so dumb. But it also doesn't match the highs of Halloween Kills. Halloween Kills is just so fucking fun.
Yeah, it's 3 very different movies.
Yeah, that's where I think,
which is kind of cool.
But at the same time, why would you bring in different writers for each movie? Like, if you want to have a consistent, like the themes are mostly consistent. We didn't really touch too much on like some of the grand themes outside of trauma. Like, one thing that they completely dropped from Halloween Kills is, Michael Myers is just trying to go home and look in his reflection.
Yeah.
Where did that go? Like,
he already did it.
Yeah, it's done. He's done. He figured it out. There was the one scene when Laurie's like killing Michael where she shows him his reflection in the knife, but it was like just a glance, like a quick moment, and if you blink, you missed it. If that's supposed to be one of the big themes of the second movie, why is it gone in the third? And then Hawkins kind of gets sidelined in this one when he was one of the main characters in Halloween Kills. So I have some gripes with it, but overall, I feel like it's a better resolution than, say, The Rise of Skywalker, because that's a piece of flaming shit. Come fight me. Yeah, I'd say that's where it'd go for me. I guess rating wise it'd be pumpkins or knives, not.
Oh shit! So 8 pumpkins out of 10.
Yeah, I think I'll go with 8 pumpkins.
All right.
So that's been. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
So our thoughts for Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
Love to hear whatever you guys think. I feel like we're going to have unpopular opinions. A lot of people are not liking this movie.
Yeah, but with every single movie, we're seeing a lot of like the audience scores being higher. So
this one's not much higher though. It's pretty low.
If you actually look at some of the reviews though, some people are happy with it. Like, they like
for the same reasons we did, because they took a chance and did something different with the Halloween franchise. And I have read a lot of like on Reddit and just like reviews on like Rotten Tomatoes. People are like, why is this a Halloween movie when Michael Myers isn't in it? And to me, I liked that. That's why I liked Halloween 3. It's not about Michael Myers, and they took a risk with that, and it got panned by critics. I feel like this movie 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road is going to be a cult classic. People are going to appreciate it a lot more, and then we at that point will be like, fucking told you so. I told you.
We kind of talked about it before recording, but there's some big horror movies coming up in the year of 2023, sort of end of 2022. We're kind of past it now.
Yeah.
Any that you're excited for?
So we still haven't seen Smile yet. Smile's been getting, this is a surprise hit. I thought it was gonna be shit critic scores, but the trailer actually would intrigue me. Like, it scared me, and I'm glad to hear that movie's doing really well. So we're definitely gonna go see that at some point. We both watched Barbarians. We'll probably get a review of that one sometime soon. It is coming out on streaming services soon, so maybe as soon as it comes out we can hit that.
I can't wait for Violent Night starring
David Harbour.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks like dumb fun.
We reviewed Krampus, right?
Yeah.
So we gotta do Violent Night.
Yeah, I'd be down to do that one. I feel like 'tis the season. We gotta do it.
I can't remember if it said it was the same director or if it's just inspired
I think
pseudo Krampus.
No. It's like John Wick. I think isn't it like David Leitch? I want to say.
Maybe.
Violent Night, or maybe he's producer.
But basically, these rich people get held captive and they're hostage so that the people can get money from them, and then Santa Claus is like delivering that night, and he has to come save them. And it's very John Wick.
It's like John Wick meets Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe David Leitch isn't on it. I swear it was. Maybe I'm tripping. But yeah, it looks like a fun, dumb movie. Yeah. I'm down to watch it. There's that M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Knock at the Cabin. I'm excited for that.
What's the twist?
I like seeing Dave Bautista in more serious roles. I think he's a really good actor.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Where he's like this big, like nerdy, sweaty looking guy. He's like, we have to save you from the apocalypse.
And I make fun, but I'm actually a huge M. Night Shyamalan fan. I liked Ol. That was a good one.
I haven't seen that. I probably won't. It looks like shit.
Alright, well that's pretty much it. Give us a like, review, all that good stuff. We'll probably, I don't know if we're gonna come up with a couple Supernatural episodes, or
maybe at some point we'll get back to Supernatural.
we'll do a Star Wars film. Is this what we're hinting at? But yeah,
thanks for tuning in. give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment.
Check down below. You should see our socials down there.
Twitter, we're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. What?
We don't do Twitter.
Oh yeah, every now and then we use Twitter. Instagram is where we do a lot of our stuff, and then YouTube. We still got a lot of pretty good follow count on Twitter, on YouTube. Yeah. And our most popular video, still Blade, and the views keep racking up. We're almost at 1 million. Yeah. I don't know why, but yeah, give us a comment, shoot us a like, something, and we appreciate you guys. We also have they're in my car, but I guess I'll show on my phone. We have these stickers. If anyone's interested, we have our Scary Sci-Fi Sluts stickers. If you guys want one, I will ship it to you. You just pay the shipping. I'll send it to you for free. Just, rep our brand.
For free?
Don't tell the finance department. Don't tell the CFO. Yeah, it's just, right now, if we get a bigger following, we'll charge for them eventually. But like me and Brandon have a couple mugs with our logo. We just want to get the word out right now. And then at some point we'll make maybe t-shirts, sweatshirts, condoms, like all these different things that you can have a logo on.
And I can't say this enough. Really, please comment down below what you want us to do next. Eventually, I've seen other platforms where you have to like pay to get a paid episode of like a requested movie or something, but we've got plenty of time right now, so if there's something...
Speak for yourself. I work full time, bro.
Well, as far as like, we're not doing any kind of like series or anything.
Yeah.
So we're pretty open to suggestion.
Yep. As long as it's in the realm of some type of horror, sci-fi, we'll do it.
Yeah, sure.
For the most part.
But basically, that's
all right.
it. So